Aaron and the gang will be back next week.
After some classification issues, Saints Row 4 was resubmitted, and soon it will be crashing onto PCs and consoles with its no-holds-barred approach to sandbox mayhem.
Yes, true to form, this installment makes no apologies for its humour and bravado.
Best to just give up now!
He lost the nuke! Remember when we first met?
Oh man! I'm gonna miss you!
You're right over the...
After that stellar intro, it's straight into character customization. You know, I think I spent about 50% of my gameplay time just happily in customization menus, Bajo. This game is still unmatched with the sheer wealth and wackiness of options it gives you, which is just great. The attention to detail is incredible. Playing around with all the colours, I think it took me half an hour just to pick a hairstyle.
Really, for me, it was just straight to this.
Yeah.
Toad's gangster. While I do mourn the loss of the zombie voice that we had in Saints Row 3, here you get to choose from 3 different female or male voices,
I know my administration has raised some eyebrows over the years.
or simply go for Nolan North.
On the campaign trail, I said I was going to accomplish a lot of things. I could never say promise.
Brilliant.
Naturally, some of the cruder humour is still prevalent in some of the taunts, although I must say they're somehow a little less offensive when my French chick does it.
You should be down here.
Almost an act of feminism, maybe?
Maybe that's a bit of a stretch, but I like where you're going with it. 5 years after the events of Saints Row III, you've been elected President of the United States. Though it turns out leading a country is a little more complicated than leading a gang.
Here's the latest approval poll. We lost 20 points. We can get them back.
They're at 20 points.
I'll admit that's a little lower than anticipated.
So you agree you have a problem?
No, you do. You're the communications director. Fix this.
Low polling numbers are the least of your worries, however, when suddenly aliens attack the country.
Protect the president!
I do love your spirit, my dear.
You're promptly abducted and then thrown into a kind of Matrix-like simulation to keep you complacent as they exact their plan to take over Earth.
I diddly eye, neighbor!
You discover that the more you upset the balance of sensibility within the simulation, the better chance you have of getting out of there.
What the
We don't use that kind of language here in Steelport.
Yeah, basically if you cause enough chaos, you'll break the sim. And it's a brilliant premise for this destruction-driven gameplay. And what's even better is that since this is essentially the Matrix, it provides the opportunity for some physics-defying fun.
I like where the devs' heads were at with this. How do we make our game more outrageous than the last? We turn our saint into a superhero. Similar to games like Prototype and Infamous, you're given the ability to essentially free run and scale buildings, which gives you a whole new way to make your way around the city and opens up new possibilities for shenanigans. Your regular Saints Row fare is still at the core of this game though.
Yeah, missions are structured around the various ways you can mess with the artificial environment and bring the aliens down from within. So you'll be doing things like taking down enemy-controlled points, generally causing damage, and taking over shops and facilities to make the simulated world your own.
This is where things started to go downhill for me, and I'm sorry, but I have to have a little bit of a whinge. I mean, this is a game about living out your fantasies with complete abandon, but I found the majority of the missions really uninventive. I know the point is that it's parodying other games, but that's no excuse for rehashing boring quests.
Yeah, I felt the same way about Saints Row III. We've had quite a few open world games now, and there is certainly a formula to the objectives you face. But I think so much of this game is about making your own fun in and around the framework of these missions. May I once again present to you Body Throwing Simulator 2013.
I'm not gonna let you push me around. Make me.
I know, and maybe I just don't share enough of your zest for life when it comes to open world shenanigans, Bajo, but there's only so much I can entertain myself around this boring shopping list of tasks. And so, here is a list of missions that I hate. Timed race missions,
I'm pretty sure you only have to do that once.
hacking missions, missions where you have to take down 5 of some sort of tower.
Those kinds of missions are a pretty core element when it comes to open world games. You happily took down a zillion of those towers in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood.
Well, exactly, I've done that before, I want to do something different. Any uninventive jumping puzzles, And before you say anything, I know I normally love jumping puzzles, but in games like Assassin's Creed, they're challenging and they make use of the movement system around detailed architecture, whereas here you're literally just bouncing from platform to platform. Missions where you just have to shoot the area around you.
Say hello to Zinyak.
But that's classic Saints Row.
No,
That's what Saints Row is.
No, it's a lazy excuse for a quest. And my absolute hated chase and catch a glowing ball for no reason.
Yeah, that one is totally silly. I'm with you on that one.
Come to me, you little monster.
The majority of these missions I have done before in other games in some form or another, but they've either been done better or just aren't good enough to be rehashed here.
Incredible. Now where's the Batman?
And the thing is, most of my favorite open world games like GTA or Sleeping Dogs have some killer story that pull you through and motivate you through all these objectives. But with Saints Row, the story is the least important element, really. It's just a bit of fun. And I'm not saying that it needs some complex emotional story. Obviously, that's not what this game is about. But I am saying that if that's not where your game's strength is, then you need to make sure that the missions are compelling and fun.
Dinner is served. I will shoot you all down.
But most of these were just a pain in the bum. No anal probes necessary.
I understand what you're saying, but I do think you're being a little harsh. This series has always delivered on creating an open world environment where you don't have the kind of restrictions that more logical realms have. And I think they've done a good job of taking this even further. The superpowers are insanely fun to make use of, and when you add that element to the wealth of crazy customizables, the cars, you're fighting aliens, in my opinion, it's a recipe for fun.
Yeah, I'm definitely not saying I didn't enjoy myself. I loved making my own playlist, and pretty much any song makes me feel like a badass when paired with this awesome pink buggy. I definitely prefer a smaller vehicle. Once I souped up this smart car, it was absolutely my favourite. They may not have the speed and muscle of a larger car, but oh boy, what a turning circle.
You like your smart cars, don't you?
Yeah, I do. They're zippy. And it's just something funny about putting a spoiler on it as well.
I found the Super Sprint was so efficient though, and I'd often choose that over driving. It's just the easiest way to get from point A to point B. Plus the city is covered in these little data clusters everywhere, which serve as your upgrade points, so you need to be constantly grabbing those. When your stamina runs low, however, a quick phone call will materialize any car from your garage right there for you to drive.
Once you're able to add NOS to your cars, driving certainly becomes a more appealing option as well. I have to say, this is one of the few games that really celebrates my careless driving, which I absolutely appreciate.
Give me that bass. Give me that bass. If you a god, homie, I'm a non-believer. That sacrificial lamb, I'll turn that night into a deeper. Watch, wrist rocking, I flip-flop up like cameos. I'm in a diamond lane, getting face. Take got that send me on my waist. Give me that bass.
And of course, you can always visit a plastic surgery clinic, or hack it in this case, to change your appearance. And you know what, heck, sometimes I just like to feel beautiful, so...
Well, it is in the eye of the beholder after all. I spent half my game running around as Mystique from X-Men. Fit the superhero theme nicely, I thought. Mostly I just enjoy the contrast of running around with SMGs while wearing a kitty cat backpack. Speaking of guns, what did you think of the weapons?
Oh, I think they're okay. I didn't really enjoy the gunplay this time around. But there is a decent mix of standard and alien guns to get your hands on.
We're better than I thought.
Our old friend Purple Dildo has been replaced with this alien tentacle bat for hilarious melee opportunities. You'll also progressively unlock superhero attacks such as ice and fire blasts, and they're fun to work into the combat.
It also needs to be said that whoever it was at Volition that was struck with the genius idea to create a dubstep gun needs a freaking medal. That thing is hilarious.
Yeah, it's really fun, isn't it? Every time it charges up, you feel like a walking movie trailer. And it's not just a gimmick, it's actually a really useful weapon.
Man, and all the cars start bouncing and the people are overcome with the power of dubstep. It's brilliant. It's easily one of the best weapons I've ever encountered in a game. And this is exactly the kind of clever, self-referential humor that Saints Row does so well.
Yeah, I think they mostly hit the right tone with the humor. There are moments where it gets a bit crude, but those are usually specific choices that you don't need to make anyway.
Hey, Kinsey, you want to
One criticism I'd like to raise is the way that the free running was designed. There is such a sense of freedom you get from those giant leaps. And once you unlock the ability to glide, things really open up for you. But other open world games design their environments to really complement the abilities that you have in the game. And here I just kept running into little ledges and walls, and it just totally broke the flow of my movements, and that was frustrating.
Yeah, I noticed that as well. You almost just need to stick to bouncing and gliding as if the city was one big jumping castle. One last thing I think we have to mention is that after all the drama surrounding the classification of this game, the weapon of contention, the Anal Probe DLC, is still going to be available to Aussies.
Yeah, I think the real issue was about the narcotics in the game, the alien drugs that gave you superpowers, and that's been changed for the Aussie release. And somehow this resubmission of the game has managed to, I guess, put the Anal Probe in some sort of context.
Yeah, so good news for Anal Probe fans. If you really want it, you can pay for it, I guess. Well, what are your final thoughts, Pajo?
I think the series may have peaked. We couldn't test out the co-op, and that's really where the fun is going to shine. So I'm going to give it a single-player score of 7.5 out of 10 rubber chickens.
Yeah, I actually expected a lot more from this, so I'm giving it 6.5.
Do a barrel roll.
Spin this ship, damn it!